Hey everybody, it is time for the January 2024 roundup, which is brought to you by Arcane Wonders and their awesome engine building game, Aquatica. Now, I covered this game a few years ago, fell hard in love. It one of my favorite engine building games of all time. I'm sure it would make a top 10 list if I were to do that list. But it's already gotten one expansion, and it's been kind of hard to get for a while. It's been out of print, but I just found out that in February, a new print run is coming. So if you've ever been interested in this game, folks, now is the time to get it. It's gorgeous, as you can see from this video taken from my run-through I did a couple of years ago. There'll be a link for that run-through down in the show notes if you want to see this game in action, because it's awesome. And folks, now is the best time ever to get on the Aquatica train, because a little bit later in the year, around Gen Con time, July, August time, they're planning on bringing out a new expansion, which looks like the biggest, coolest one to date. Robert Geislinger, the head of Arcane Wonders, actually talked about this on a recent R&R episode, and it's just the bee's knees. As is Aquatica. I mean, just the base game is absolutely phenomenal, and like I said, it's coming back into print. If you've been looking for it and haven't been able to find it, now is the time. And now, folks, is the time for me to tell you about the games Jen and I played over the last month. Although you're looking at the screen saying, what? Why aren't you on a beautiful beach or something like that, as I've been doing? Here's the deal, folks. The bug is caught up with me. What it was today? Today is, I think, the 3rd of February. Today is the day I woke up and had to make a consistent, repeated trots to the toilet over and over and over again. And you know what that means, folks. I'm not sure why it hit me and not Jen. Jen and I are pretty much eating the exact same stuff. But here's the deal. I do not feel well enough to actually walk around on a beautiful beach or the promenade of this beautiful town here. We're in Loretto right now. Jen is out actually going and checking out art galleries and all of that, because she feels great, but I'm just stuck here with you. And I'm going to tell you about a few games. Actually, don't worry about me, because I'm also stuck here with the most adorable beagles you've ever seen, who are fine and would like to go for another walk, please. Anyway, though, folks, I am just laying back, and I'm going to tell you about 13 games that Jen and I played over the month of January. And I got to say, folks, this is maybe one of the worst months for gaming for me forever. There were a bunch of disappointments. In fact, there's a 14th game I could talk about. I am not going to talk about. I talked about it a little bit in Jen's monthly Gen Jog, but I do not want to rip this game apart, rip it to shreds, because I thought it was literally maybe the worst game I've ever played. I'm not going to mention it. Again, I talked about it a little bit on the Gen Jogs, but I don't like to tear people down, and I have nothing good to say about this mystery game. So we're going to skip number 14 and go to number 13 on my list, which I think will be a big surprise to a lot of people. It's Ticket to Ride: Legends of the West, which made it onto a lot of folks' top 10 lists of the year, and I totally understand why, and it's certainly a very well done example of legacy-style gameplay. But I gotta say, folks, I'm not the biggest Ticket to Ride fan in the universe. What I discovered a couple of years ago is Ticket to Ride is at its absolute best when it's like a 15 or 20 minute long game. Like when we discovered Ticket to Ride New York or London, one or the other. Yeah, London, because we love the buses. That's why I know that's the way Ticket to Ride is supposed to be played. The longer you go into Legends of the West, the longer and longer games get. I mean, they get upwards of an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and that's for two people, because they get so big and so cumbersome and so complex with so many things to consider with every move. And that's great, but I do not like playing a Ticket to Ride that long. And then on top of that, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but there are a whole bunch of cool little new modules that get turned on, and then they're around for a few sessions, and then they're gone again and all of that. I thought every single one of them was cool thematically, and I had issues with how every single one of them was implemented. In some cases, just because I thought they were done exceptionally terribly for two players. Some, I just think they were literally bad designs. Like, there's ones that'll punish you, right? And then you have to live with this punishment. And eventually, you can take steps to get rid of the punishment. You should get a reward at that point. You should feel like, yes, oh, that was a real problem. That punishment that was been weighing me down for 2 games, I finally got rid of it, and it just goes away. You don't get any kind of reward. You don't get, oh, here's a bonus 20 points or something like that. Just tons of little things like that that drive me nuts and make me incredibly disappointed. If I do a top 10 most disappointing games of 2023, Ticket to Ride: Legends of the West is on the top. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she wasn't bothered. She recognized all these weird problems too. Whenever I'd point them out while we're playing and say, yep, that's not great. But she was still having a great time because she loves opening boxes and seeing new things and all the rest of it. And I'm sure a lot of people love it for that reason too. And maybe the game would be better at a higher player count. Maybe it's just I mean, it seemed like there was absolutely no consideration put into two-player scaling at all, which was very disappointing as well. So anyway, that comes in at number 13. Now let's talk about number 12. Exit Lord of the Rings. Now, I had kind of sworn off escape room exit style things, the Exit series, the Unlock series, I think over a year ago. I think I'd just kind of been burned out on it. But when a Lord of the Rings one came along, I'm like, okay, Jen's going to love this. We have to try it. I kind of wish I hadn't. It is literally the worst home escape room experience we've ever had. And to add insult to injury, it's listed as one of the easiest of all time. It's only a 2 out of 5 star difficulty, but we found by far it was the most unintuitive, just grab bag of random stuff that happened, and we did not enjoy it at all. Like weird stuff, like they worked really, really hard to kind of retell the story I already know, and I'm supposed to have 60 minutes. Every time I turn to a new page, I've got to read like 5 minutes worth of text to everybody, none of which is important. There were just a lot of really weird decisions. Now, to be fair, there were some very good, cool puzzles in there as well. And like any escape room, if you figure it out yourself, you'll feel fantastic. But I mean, we got our worst score ever. And I thought, is it just me? But I went on Board Game Geek, and there are a lot of people saying, yeah, they missed the mark on the Exit the Game Lord of the Rings. So anyway, that's number 12. Then there is number 11, Dominations. Now, this was a game, a civilization building game I got to play many, many years ago, a partial game. Wow. There is something incredibly loud right out that window over there. In Mexico, sometimes cars with gigantic boom boxes just walk around and make announcements in Spanish. I have no idea what they're saying, but it sounds like he's going away now. Don't know if you could have even heard that anyway, though. But anyway, number 11. Sorry. Number 11, Dominations. A civilization building game where you are laying out dominoes, or triangle-shaped dominoes, trying to put them in the right place, expanding the known world to harvest resources, and then spending those resources to buy a cool little cards that you jigsaw puzzle together to make your own private society after pulling all the resources out of the main board. It's a gorgeous game. It's smooth, it's fast playing, there was a lot for me to like, but the reason it comes in at number 11 for me, folks, is you're constantly trying to one-up each other, working on a communal board like Carcassonne, which means you can make some really aggressive jerk moves to cut people off. So, Dominations comes in at number 11 on the list. Okay, then we go on to number 10, Bamboo. This is something that Kimberly covered on the channel last year, and she did a great run-through. And so you can go check that out. There'll be links for that down in the show notes. There's links for everything I'm talking about down in the show notes, folks, if you want to learn more about these games. But anyway, at the time, Kimberly kind of came away thinking, well, I like a lot here, but it just doesn't quite sit with me. And she never really articulated why. I'm going to articulate why it doesn't sit well with me. I love the action selection mechanism. Picking a color of bamboo, that gives me access to certain actions, and then I slide them into this bamboo slide that kicks other ones out, so I'm setting myself up for my next turn. I think that mechanism is awesome. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I like the way we build up our houses, trying to get perfect symmetry on both sides, because we can grab objectives that will tell us, okay, we need more of this over here and less of this over here, and stuff like that. I thought that was great too. But then there's a third element of the game. There is an area control thing where we're also trying to get the most incense lit at the nearby temple. And there's 4 temples. They all give you insanely powerful special powers, and you have to fight tooth and nail to get those. Every one of your moves is all about trying to figure out how to keep your opponent from taking another majority and getting another one of those special powers. And for me and Jen, it was just too much. I loved everything else about the game, but the area control was just way too aggressive and incredibly swingy. I guess it's okay if in a 2-player game, every round, okay, I win 2 of them and you win 2 of them. But because of the way they did scaling, it was often the case that Jen might win 3 or even all 4 of them. And I'm like, okay, well, I just lost because I got nothing as a consolation prize for those insane powers you just got. So I think it's really cool. Again, I would like it more at a higher player count because area control generally works better at a higher player count. But as a 2-player, Bamboo came in at number 10 of the month. Then we go on to number 9, Bohnanza, the famous card game from Uwe Rosenberg. Finally played it. We met a couple of nice young van lifers at a beach, and they said, you play games? We play games. We got some games. What do we got in the van, honey? And one of them said, we got the bean game. And I'm like, Bohnanza? And they said, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, well, I'm kind of an expert. Anyway, you want to play it? And yes, Jen and I played Bohnanza. Finally. This has been on my bucket list forever. And what can I say? I can see why people love it so much. Did not like it. My problem with it is long. If you're playing with people who like to wheel and deal a lot, it takes way too long. I always thought Bohnanza the Duel was just about perfect as a two-player version of Bohnanza, except it went on a little bit too long. But now I see, oh no, it's the appropriate length. Board Game Geek says Bohnanza should last 45 minutes. I imagine that's if everybody knows what they're doing. If everybody doesn't, this is an hour-and-a-half game, and it shouldn't be. And that's my fundamental problem with it. I like wheeling and dealing. Jen actually doesn't, so that was a real problem for her. That's one of the things that slowed it down. I would play it again, but I'd only want to play it with really experienced players so we could go fast, because the game is just, 2 trips through that deck is 1 trip too many. But anyway, that's why it comes in at number 9 on the list, Bohnanza. Tell me down in the comments if you think I'm crazy. I am sure that's going to raise some hackles. Anyway, let's move on to number 8 now. Legends of Andor, Eternal Frost. Now, I was very excited about this one when it showed up. Brought it on the RV because I love Andor so very much. And, the latest Andors had not really kind of landed with me and Jen. They were making big changes, and this seemed like it was kind of a callback to the original Andor, and it really is. It feels a lot more like regular Andor, and I enjoyed my time with it. Jen and I, we played through the 4 campaign, although we skipped the first one because it's a blatant tutorial, so we didn't even bother with it. So we only played 3. And my biggest complaint about this is, unlike the original Andor, there is not a super mission full of really cool replayability with mixing and matching sub-bosses and population and stuff like that. There's one mission that does it a little bit, and one mission that does a different thing a little bit, but neither of them would I want to go back and play again. So I thought it was great, but it's a great version of Andor if you've already gotten all the Andor and you're just jonesing for new Andor. I have to knock it down because it really, really needed that replayable mission, like Mission 3 from the original. And if it had had it, it probably would have made it into my top 5 of the month. But as it is, it comes in at number 8. A great, great game if you're only looking to play through it once or maybe twice, but it just doesn't have the long-term legs. Although, to be fair, the developers of Andor are always making new spin-off stuff anyway. Anyway, though, let's move on now to number 7. Agricola, the 15th anniversary edition. And I'm sure that's going to be strange for people because Agricola is in my top 10 games of all time. Yes, it is. And here's the deal. I could just say, hey, we played the Agricola 15 expansion, and because it's in my top 10, I'll just say this is my number 1 game. But that wasn't really fair. Because I wanted to do is evaluate what does Agricola the 15th anniversary edition do that's different than regular Agricola. Why should you get this version, which is much more expensive than the regular one? And I got to say, they made choices about this that I would not have made. The biggest problem is whenever you put a big box out, generally speaking, you put out the really cool big expansions. And Agricola 15th Anniversary does not come with Farmers of the Moor. You have to buy that separately. And that was a real problem. Instead, it comes with a bunch of gimmick stuff, like the season board and, the X cards that are like sci-fi wackiness. And, I mean, those are nice enough, but I don't think anybody was saying, oh my gosh, I have to have all those weird little things. No, people want a big, deluxe, super big box of Agricola that they can put all of the ABC and upcoming D and E decks and put them all in one place. And the box could have done that, but it doesn't. The card box doesn't quite fit everything. It needed to be a little bit bigger because I've already read on Board Game Geek that the E deck won't fit, especially if you're sleeving. Maybe it'll fit without the sleeves. People were mostly talking about sleeving. And so that was kind of a bummer. And no presence of the Farmers of the Moor was a real oversight. Now, don't get me wrong. It's still great. Still one of the 10 greatest games of all time. But I'm just talking about, should you get Agricola 15th Anniversary Edition? If you don't have Agricola at all and you find it on discount, probably yes, it's the best way to go. But if you're paying full retail, you're probably better off just getting the revised edition for its full retail, plus some of these spin-off, and you'll get a bit more and a bit less of the kind of the silly, goofy stuff. So anyway, that was number 7, Agricola, the 15th Anniversary. I love the box, though. The box is very, very cool. Some people want it just for the box, and that's cool. Number 6 is Stellar Drift. Now, this was a sponsored preview I did for a new roll and write that's crowdfunding right now. Go check it out, folks. It is excellent. Both Jen and I loved it a lot. It is maybe the most thematic roll and write I have ever played. Theme just comes through in every single move you make. This is not some kind of abstracted, what do you call it? Spreadsheet exercise that roll and writes are kind of becoming more and more common. This one is you're trying to save your ship from crashing into a supernova, doing bag building and bag drawing to get the right sections repaired, triggering combos and all that stuff, and it's just fantastic. You can watch my run through of it to get a sense for it. Like I said, links down in the show notes. Then we got number 5, Pharmacology. Again, another one I covered. You can follow links down in the show notes and watch me play this thing, and I guarantee, folks, if you hadn't seen my video of it, you have never heard of this game, and that's a real shame because it is is excellent. It is a dice drafting, dice worker placement game about being pharmaceutical companies trying to cure diseases, develop drugs, vaccines and all of that with really, really smart drafting, customized dice, and a game that starts out slow but ramps up so fast. Turns get so big and magically complex and satisfying and heavy. It is phenomenal. Unfortunately, you can only get it through the Game Crafter, but I'm just trying to sing it from the rooftops so that somebody at some publisher in the board game industry will go check this game out, because I think it should get picked up for wider distribution and not just be an Game Crafter. Anyway, that's number 5, Pharmacology. Watch my run through to learn more. Number 4 is En Route, another sponsored a crowdfunding preview I did. This is another roll and write, but here's the interesting thing about this. There's no rolling in this game. There's no card draws in this game. There's no randomness in this game. We are trying to make the best tour through one of several different cities, New York, London, Paris, Rio de Janeiro, I think was one of them. And all the cities have different functions and ways to score points and all of that. And every round, we are going to communally, as a group, come up with an XY coordinate that says where new tourists appear and where we can draw the routes to get those tourists connected to what they want to see. We've seen other things like this, but most games would do this where you roll the dice to find out where you put the tourists, where you do the lines. Not in this game. In this game, players take turns drawing and working together to come up with these specific coordinates where everybody's going to build. This makes this game so much richer and so much more interactive between players. For people who don't like roll and writes because they're always, very multiplayer solitaire, everybody's just doing whatever they're doing. They're playing bingo. Not this game. Every choice I make so directly affects you, and every choice you make is based on the choices I make. I definitely recommend checking out the video for it, folks. It hasn't gone live yet, but if you are a supporter of the show, you get to see it early, of course. That is always the case. The video will be public a little bit later on in the month when the campaign starts. That's my number 4 of the month, En Route. The stroll and write. Okay, then we go to number 3. It's Agricola. I'm going to talk more about Agricola because in addition to playing the 15th anniversary edition, I also threw in the new CD deck. I do not remember what CD stands for. Coryllius Didgeriduius. I honestly can't remember for the life of me. But it's a CD deck. Everybody knows it. You can find it on Board Game Geek easily enough. And it's just a new deck with a whole bunch of new cards, a bunch of really cool new powers that and so again, this should be my number 1 because Agricola is in my top 10 of all time. But what I really want to talk about with the CD deck is most of these other little expansions, the A, the B, the C, the D and the E, I haven't seen the E yet, they just give you new cards, just regular stuff. The CD deck is different because it also gives you a new way to play. As part of setup, when you're figuring out what your starting hand of cards is, you also draw a few and pick one mother and one father card. And these will give you objectives and direction right from the get-go. The mother will give you, at some point in the game, an extra resource so you know that's coming. The father will give you an extra objective to chase that you can, cash in whenever you want to. This is a huge improvement. I don't know if I'd want to play Agricola without those mother and father things. It makes the drafting more interesting, knowing that, I'm drafting to try to get stuff that works with his mother and father. It creates more exciting moments throughout the game. It's awesome, and they should make a big deal about it and put more mothers and fathers in future decks. Fingers crossed. Anyway, that's number 3, the Agricola CD deck. And then finally, number 2 is FLOE. Now, this one is going to be going live on the channel because it's another sponsored preview for a game that is crowdfunding. This is basically a spiritual follow-up to Endless Winter. It's from the same folks, and it's absolutely brilliant. You'll be able to see my run-through pretty soon. You can see it now, of course, again, if you are a supporter of the show, because supporters get to see stuff early. But this was Jen's game of the month. Jen gave this a rare 5 out of 5 stars, which means it's going to be one of her top 10 of the year, more likely than not. And I can't blame her. I think it's fantastic, too. Hey, it's my number 2 of the month. It's a worker placement game set in an anthropomorphized fantasy universe with cute little animals. You have 2 workers, your adventurer and your familiar. And every round, both your adventurer and your familiar, those are your 2 workers, and they work very differently depending on whether you deploy them to town or out into the world to do adventures and exploring and fighting monsters in caves. It's freaking brilliant. Everybody's going to go gaga for this when people start getting their hands on it, and you'll be able to see it when the campaign, I think I'm actually putting it live up on the channel next week, maybe? So that'll be coming soon. But anyway, that was number 2. What is number 1, folks? What is number 1? I'm glad you asked. It is Aeon's End, the Desent. It's the latest standalone / expansion for Aeon's End, and it's maybe the best one to date because there's a bunch of new bosses or nemesis, which are always cool and exciting and surprising how original they are. There's a bunch of new playable mages that you get to cooperatively work together to beat the nemesis. You expect that. You just expect that from Aeon's End stuff. What this new Desent thing adds is a new module that's unlike anything that's ever come before, that was designed not by the regular folks, the Aeon's End team, but by Dave Turczi, one of the hottest design superstars working today. Turns out Dave is just a huge fan of Aeon's End, contacted them and said, hey, I've got an idea for something I'd like to add to the game. Can I put this in your next expansion? And they said, that sounds really great, let's do it. So Dave joined the team and brought in the Friends and Foes system. And it is freaking awesome. I would never play, Aeon's End without being able to throw in a friend and a foe as well, because it kind of gives the game a little bit more replayability, similar to what Marvel Champions does, where you say, hey, I'm going to go up against the Red Skull, but I'm going to throw in the Trolls of Asgard. Those two things combine and become a new challenge for me to do. That's what this does for Aeon's End, where, okay, I'm going to fight that same nemesis. I might even use the same mages that I've fought the nemesis with in the past, but I give the nemesis a different ally, or a foe for me. I give myself a different friend, a foe for the ally, and everything feels different. It's awesome, and you can check it soon. And that is it, folks. I am done. I honestly feel a little better. I haven't had to make a run to the bathroom at any point, and so that's pretty good. So, Jen might be back any second, but let me go on ahead and say a huge thank you to all of these people that are zipping by right now, and oh man, I was so sick, I totally forgot to get the list of people that I have to actually shout out by name. So, let me pause for a second and get that list and say thank you to everybody for keeping Rahdo running. Okay, folks, actually, I am not up to it, so I've got Jen here. She's going to read off the names of all the high-level backers as a big thank you. Go ahead, honey pie.
All right, well, thank you, Emma Bryce and Eric Z. and Adriana Dong.
Yes.
And Dr. Fu. Sharon Laubach, Astis Samulianis.
It's the hardest one.
Wow. April, I got that one.
Yeah.
Thank you to Moltar. I think I ate something with Moltar.
Yes,
and
you did.
Jeff Young, thank you. Victoria BHG and Amy. Heather Rudarian.
Yeah.
Jimmy Schroeder Hansen.
Yeah.
Dennis Inti.
Yeah.
Dave Salvatore.
Be sure to thank the nice people.
Selma Lee, thank you. Catalin Albert, Marlon Cruz El Crosso, and Nancy Pope, thank you very much. Charles Hill, Cobra Misfit, KB, Hans Peter Bach, Davy Dewis, thank you very much, and Demwa2030CE.
Pretty close.
Okay, Jay Huber, Mike Bloom, thank you, Mom Gamer, Lex, Avatar, thank you very much, Dan Halligan, Jerry Reese, thank you to Blake Wilson and Amber Rail, Brant Fuller, thank you, Steve Ercolini, thank you very much, Stacy Lee, thank you, and Graham Wallace, The Griff, Mariolyn, thank you. Cheryl Howard, Jeff Glasson, Chris Arnold, thank you also to Nicholas Elkins. And I think I've done it.
You've done it, honey pie.
I read, and I do appreciate your support. Thank you.
And I think actually you showed me that I've been pronouncing some of them wrong this whole time, potentially.
Oh.
But anyway, folks, that's it, and there went the rest of the names. Thanks again, and I will be back again next month to tell you about some more games that we play on the road when we're not, frolicking in places like this.
Show them the prettiness of where we are. We've just come here and parked.
All right, so that's where we're going to be for the next day or two. Maybe play a game or two, depending on how it goes. But that's it, folks. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks again to Thank you to Arcane Wonders for helping keeping Rahdo running. Okay, everybody, see you soon. Bye-bye.